morning.
Good morning.
Today it's supposed to be hot again.
Again,
Yep, I think we skipped spring and went straight to summer. Uh, so today we are in chapter 3 of the Alcoholics Anonymous Big Book, as we call it. We're on page 34. So if you're new here, you're welcome here. It's AA Day. I started doing AA on my channel to be able to share this gift I received for free and share it for free to anyone that needs it. Um, please, no judging, no harassment, no bullying. It is an AA meeting, so please refrain from talking about what we're trying to overcome. And yeah, and just be kind to each other. If you don't want anyone to know about your story or your name, please don't talk in the chat. If you don't mind, then you can chat in here if you'd like. All I ask is to please hit the like button so we know that we are reaching out for people and getting the message to everyone that needs it. So, it's Tuesday morning, May, let me check my calendar, I forget, 16th, couple weeks and we go on a trip. Yay. That's exciting. So how was your Mother's Day weekend?
or
Boring?
I had a migraine or a tension headache Monday or Sunday.
Yeah.
So I slept most of the day.
Yeah, I don't like those. I went and saw our mom for a couple hours and then came home and tried to take a nap. But my husband and my two kids were out washing my car. So it was pretty nice. And then I got to have something that I wanted for dinner. Uh, so it
What
was
did you
pretty
have for
good too.
dinner?
We had Kentucky Fried Chicken. I'm not sponsored or affiliated with them, but I had been craving that for dinner.
And you didn't invite me.
No, sorry.
I had hamburger helper
Yeah, I would have invited you.
that I had to cook.
Yep.
Oh well. Oh no, wait. I didn't have hamburger helper. I don't think. I actually think I had sandwich.
A sandwich? Wow. Now that cake you made, that last one was really good.
Yeah.
That was yummy. So are we ready to get our meeting started?
Sure, I don't see anybody in here, but sure.
Yeah, I don't see anybody in here either.
But they may be listening.
Yep. Okay, we're going to start off with the Serenity Prayer, followed by the steps, and then we will get back into chapter 3 of the Big Book. And I hope you are all here. And if you have a book, please read along. If not, that's okay. We'll read it and you can listen. It does actually work. You just have to want it for yourself to make it work, and follow your steps, and you can achieve your goal, and that is to stay sober. So hold on just 1 second. I need to have my son get me a water. Okay, ready? Can you get me a water, please? God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. And I just read the steps out of the 12 Steps and 12 Traditions book. They are in the front. It's bright enough right here. I don't need it. Mike got me the light and he's like, hold his hand out like this. He's like, why aren't you using this, Mom? Okay, so the steps are right here in the front, and we have the traditions as well right after the steps. So, step one, we admitted we were powerless over alcohol, that our lives had become unmanageable. Two, came to believe that a power greater than ourselves could restore us to sanity. Three, made a decision to turn our will and our lives over to the care of God as we understood Him. Four, made a searching and fearless moral inventory of ourselves. Five, admitted to God, to ourselves, and to another human being the exact nature of our wrongs. Six, we're entirely ready to have God remove all these defective characters. Seven, humbly asked Him to remove our shortcomings. Eight, made a list of all persons we had harmed and become willing to make amends to them all. 9, made direct amends to such people wherever possible, except when to do so would injure them or others. 10, continued to take personal inventory and when wrong, promptly admit it. 11, sought through prayer and meditation to improve our conscious contact with God as we understood Him, praying only for knowledge of His will for us and the power to carry that out. 12, having had a spiritual awakening as a result of these steps, we tried to carry this message to alcoholics and to practice these principles in all our affairs. Sorry, I got lost on that last one. I was reading it and then I moved my eyeballs and lost where I was. So we are on page 32 or 34 in the big book, and we will start off for those who are unable to drink moderately. The question is how to stop altogether. We are assuming, of course, that the reader desires to stop. Whether such a person can quit upon a non-spiritual bias depends upon the extent to which he has already lost the power to choose whether he will drink or not. Many of us felt that we had plenty of character. There was a tremendous urge to cease forever, yet we found it impossible. This is a baffling feature of alcoholism as we know it. This utter inability to leave it alone, no matter how great the necessity or the wish. How then shall we help our readers determine to their own satisfaction whether they are one of us? Be helpful. Oh, wait, I skipped one.
Skipped.
I know. The experiment of quitting for a period of time will be helpful, but we think we can render an even greater service to alcoholic sufferers and perhaps to the medical fraternity. So we shall describe some of the mental states that precede a relapse into drinking, for obviously this is the crux of the problem. What sort of thinking um,
Dominates.
dominates an alcoholic who repeats time after time the desperate experiment of the first drink? Friends who have reasoned with him after a spree which has brought him to the point of divorce or bankruptcy are mystified when he walks directly into a saloon. Why does he? Or of what is he thinking?
Our first
Our first
example is a friend we shall call Jim. This man has a charming wife and family. He inherited a lucrative automobile agency. He had a commendable World War record. He is a good salesman. Everybody likes him. He is an intelligent man, normal so far as we can see, except for a nervous disposition. He did no drinking until he was 35. In a few years, he became so violent when intoxicated that he had to be committed. On leaving the asylum, he came into contact with us. We told him what we knew of alcoholism and the answer we had found. He made a beginning. His family was reassembled and he began to work as a salesman for the business he had lost through drinking. All went well for a time, but he failed to enlarge his spiritual life. To his consternation, he found himself drunk half a dozen times in rapid succession. On each of these occasions, we worked with him, reviewing carefully what had happened. He agreed he was a real alcoholic and in a serious condition. He knew he faced another trip to the asylum if he kept on. Moreover, he would lose his family for whom he had a deep affection. Yet he got drunk again. We asked him to tell us exactly how it happened. This is his story. I came to work on Tuesday morning. I remember I felt irritated that I had to be a salesman for a concern I once owned. I had a few words with the boss, but nothing serious. Then I decided to drive into the country and see one of my prospects for a car. On the way, I felt hungry, so I stopped at a roadside place where they have a bar. I had no intentions of drinking. I just thought I would get a sandwich. I also had the notion that I might find a customer for a car at this place, which was familiar, for I had been going to it for years. I had eaten there many times during the month. I was sober. I sat down at a table and ordered a sandwich and a glass of milk. Still no thought of drinking. I ordered another sandwich and decided to have another glass of milk. Suddenly the thought crossed my mind that if I were to put an ounce of whiskey in my milk, it couldn't hurt me on a full stomach. I ordered a whiskey and poured it into the milk. I vaguely sensed I was not being any too smart, but felt reassured as I was thinking the whiskey on a full stomach. The experiment went so well that I ordered another whiskey and poured it into more milk. That didn't seem to bother me, so I tried another. Thus started one more journey to the asylum for Jim. Here was the threat of commitment, the loss of family and position, to say nothing of that intense mental and physical suffering which drinking always caused him. He had much knowledge about himself as an alcoholic, yet all reasons for not drinking were easily pushed aside in favor of the foolish idea that he could take whiskey if only he mixed it with milk. Whatever the precise definition of the word may be, we call this plain insanity. How can such a lack of proportion of the ability to think straight be called anything else?
Where are we?
In some circumstances.
Which page?
Wait,
There it
you
is.
may think this is an extreme case. Page 37. Second
Okay,
paragraph.
I found it. You may think an this an extreme case. To us is not far fetched, for this kind of thinking has been characteristic of every single one of us. We have sometimes reflected more than Jim did upon the consequences, but there was always the curious mental phenomenon that parallel with our sound reasoning, their inevitability,
Inevitably,
inevitably ran some insanely trivial excuse for taking the first drink. Our sound reasoning failed to hold us in check. The insane idea won out. Next day, we would ask ourselves in all earnestness and sincerity how it could have happened. In some circumstances, we have gone out deliberately to get drunk, feeling ourselves justified by nervousness, anger, worry, depression, jealousy, or the like. But even in this type of beginning, we are obliged to admit that our justification for a spree was insanely insufficient in the light of what always happened. We now see that when we began to drink deliberately instead of casually, there was little serious or effect throughout thought during the period of premeditation of what the terrific consequences might be. Our behavior is as absurd and incomprehensible with respect to the first drink as that of an individual with a passion. Thus, for jaywalking, he gets a thrill out of skipping in front of fast moving vehicles. He enjoys himself for a few years in spite of friendly warnings. Up to this point, you would label him as a foolish chap, having queer ideas of fun, luck, Luck then deserts him, and he is slightly injured several times in succession. You would expect him, if he were normal, to cut it out. Presently, he is hit again, and this time has a fractured skull. Within a week after leaving the hospital, a fast-moving trolley car breaks his arm. He tells you he has decided to stop jaywalking for good, but in a few weeks he breaks both legs. On though the
On
on
through
through the
the years.
years, this conduct continues, accompanied by his continual promises to be careful or to keep off the streets altogether. Finally, he can no longer work. His wife gets a divorce, and he is held up to ridicule. He tries every known means to get the jaywalking idea out of his head. He shuts himself in an asylum, hoping to mend his ways. But the day he comes out, he races in front of a fire engine, which breaks his back. Such a man would be crazy, wouldn't he? You may
You may
think
you may think our instruction
it was
into ridicule, but
ridiculous.
oh, you may think our illustration is too ridiculous, but is it? We who have been through the ringer have to admit if we substituted alcoholism for jaywalking, the illustration would fit us exactly. However, intelligent we may have been in other respects, where alcohol has been involved, we have been strangely insane. It's strong language, but isn't it true? Some of you are thinking, yes, what you tell us is true, but it doesn't fully apply. We admit we have some of these symptoms, but we have not gone to the extremes you fellows did, nor are we likely to. For we understand ourselves so well, after what you have told us, that such things cannot happen again. We have not lost everything in life through drinking, and we certainly do not intend to. Thanks for the information. That may be true of certain non alcoholic people who, though drinking foolishly and heavily at the present time, are able to stop or moderate because their brains and bodies have not been damaged as ours were. But the actual or potential alcoholic, with hardly an exception, will be absolutely unable to stop drinking on the basis of self knowledge. This is a point which we too emphasize and re emphasize to smash home upon our alcoholic readers, as it has been revealed to us out of bitter experience. Let us take another illustration.
Fred is partner in a well-known accounting firm. His income is good. He has a fine home, is happily married, and the father of promising children of college age. He has so attractive a personality that he makes friends with everyone. If ever there was a successful businessman, it is Fred. To all appearance, he is a stable, well balanced individual, yet he is alcoholic. We first saw Fred about a year ago in a hospital. where he had gone to recovery from a bad case of jitters. It was his first experience of this kind, and he was much ashamed of it. Far from admitting he was an alcoholic, he told himself he came to the hospital to rest his nerves. The doctor intimidated strongly that he might be worse than he realized. For a few days he was depressed about his condition. He made up his mind to quit drinking altogether. It never occurred to him that perhaps he could not do so in spite of his character and standing. Fred would not believe himself an alcoholic, much less accept spiritual remedies for his problem. We told him what we knew about alcoholism. He was interested and conceded that he had some of the symptoms, but he was a long way from admitting that he could do nothing about it himself. He was positive that this humiliating experience, plus the knowledge he had acquired, would keep him sober the rest of his life. Self knowledge would fix it. You want to stop there?
Yeah,
Okay.
I marked I marked a couple spots when I first read it.
I don't have any markings in this book yet. I gave the one I marked up away. So I can vouch for the going back out. I've done it. And it wasn't like a prolonged time for me to get back to where I had just come from. Now, I had already admitted to myself and to another human being that I am an alcoholic. I did that, but I didn't listen to myself. I went and got put on my depression meds and my anxiety meds, and I kept drinking. Dumb idea. Please don't do that because you end up where you were or worse than you were before you went to become sober. And so on that aspect, I can say yes, that is true. It does happen, and it happens more than once to some people. Now I've only done that once, and I'm not going to say that I'll never do it again. But I promised to myself that I will fight for every day to be sober because with all the experiences that I've had since being sober, even the bad days have been worth it because true feelings and having true feelings is the best thing. And the part of Fred having the shakes, I did that as well. I thought, okay, so I've got the shakes, whatever. Then I kept getting the shakes. It didn't go away. It didn't subside. And as long as I took that first drink, I didn't have a hangover. I wasn't shaking, but I was still hurting myself without, you know, without thinking much of it. Because, when it's on the inside, it doesn't show on the outside other than your actions and your words. And my family, I tell you, my husband and my kids were just like, you know what? If you don't stop doing this, we're leaving. And so the last time I went to the hospital for alcohol was I got I hit my face on something, don't know what happened because I blacked out or something. And so I ended up going to the hospital and getting 7 stitches after I put the hospital through the ringer with my attitude, my actions. Really, I was only humiliating myself. And now that I've been sober long enough, I realize that I really did a number in humiliating myself and my family. I blamed my sister for hitting me, and my sister was not even there.
I
So,
I found what I was looking for. It says, "You may think our illustration is too ridiculous, but is it? We who have been through the ringer have to admit if we substitute alcoholism for jaywalking, the illustration would fit us exactly. However intelligent we may have been in our respect, where alcohol has been evolved, we have been strangely insane. It's strong language, but it's true. Some of you are thinking, yes, what you tell us is true, but it doesn't fully apply. That is so true that I had tried fooling myself. I had been 24 hours sober, came home after a meeting, got drunk, got sick, and my light bulb went off. I was like, wait a minute. I just did exactly what the book said not to do. Or that the book tells you that happens quite often. So when I looked in the fridge and still had 3 beers in my refrigerator, nice cold ones, I looked at them, I sat down, got back up, went and looked at them. Now I did this like 4 or 5 times. The last time I went and looked at the beer in the refrigerator, I said, I don't effing need you. I don't need you. I'm not going to drink you. And I can be sober. And I have been sober ever since.
yeah,
I've never told anybody that it took me that many times to trip to the refrigerator. But
yeah,
it did. And every time I went to the refrigerator, I would read that you're fooling yourself.
yep,
Actually are fooling only yourself. If you think that you can do it alone, you are
yeah,
not alone. There are people that can help you. We're helping you. And it does actually work.
yes, it does.
Now, I'm not saying that I may never slip up in my life.
Yes,
I'm not saying I may never slip up in my life. I pray every day and every night that I stay sober.
just a second. I just just got great news, and I hope she comes in, but I can't guarantee she will. So one of my sponsees just messaged me. So she just graduated college, and so she got I want to say, bachelor's. I might be wrong, but it is for the Forest Service. Doing forestry stuff. So she had applied for a job as a ranger at the campground on the beach.
Did you get
She
it?
had her she had her interview on Friday, and she just messaged me. She got the job.
Yeah.
Good job. So proud of her. She is also, like me and like Lillian and like many of us, still a recovering alcoholic. And she will be for the rest of her life. And
And
as
she's not
long as,
afraid to admit it either.
yeah,
So you need
and
to specify.
I was going to say that
Oh,
no matter what, when you are recovering from alcohol and you are recovering from the other stuff, you're always recovering. And I think it's best to say a recovering for me, because it always keeps it in my mind that this is not going to go away. It's not miraculously gone. It's
no.
not magic. You have to want your life to be better. And I can tell you, being sober is, I don't care how many bad days I have. I have my true feelings, and I'm okay with that. And if I get mad at somebody, I automatically make my amends. And when good things are going, I shout it out to people. I use my voice wherever I can, because when I was drinking, I had no voice. All I had was the drink, the drink, the drink. That's it. All I thought about. 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, because I was not sleeping. I was passing out. It wasn't for very long at a time. And when I get up, it was the same thing the next day. Going and finding that drink, going and uh, begging for money to get beer. And I have to tell you, I don't miss doing that at all. I do not miss it at all. My life is not great every day, but I'm great because I'm sober. Life is best when you're sober.
I can be broke on the street or broke and have my apartment. I know that I can do whatever I need to do to stay sober.
I'll be right back.
I can do it. And it takes more than one person. It takes everybody. If you're a recovering alcoholic, come on, listen. Listen to our story. Maybe it'll help you. Maybe someone else's story will help you. That's that's Sandra's goal with doing this here like this for everyone, is so that if you watch the replay, you don't have to say anything. If you're in here watching it live, you don't have to say anything.
Yeah.
We understand not everybody is as boisterous about it as we are. And that's okay. Be yourself. That's
Yep.
all you can be. Be yourself. I'm
Yep.
a recovering alcoholic. I'm a recovering addict. I'm not afraid to tell you that.
Yep.
I am not afraid. I am not ashamed. It was my life. I did things that I'm not proud of. I went through things that I'm not proud of. But guess what? I'm here. I'm sober.
Yep.
I'm clean. I'm living the life I want to live on my terms.
Yep.
And I can only do it with help from others. I cannot
Yep.
do it alone.
And the steps that we work in our program in the AA is it's the tools that we need to help us to make those choices on a daily basis, sometimes on an hourly basis, because you never know what kind of situation you're going to be in. Um, but always try to make your amends, work your steps. It's a daily thing, an hourly thing. When you're having issues, now I'm not a very religious person, but I do pray, especially for people that need it and for people that make me upset, because when I get upset, I don't want to hurt that person. I just want to pray for them that they find out that it is the higher power's way and not their own, because that helps me to calm myself down and realize, okay, this is not me. I can't control that. I have to control me. And that's all I can do. And sometimes it's best to just walk away, kick a rock, walk away, and leave it alone.
I have to say, I waited, what, 2, 3 years before I did something. I went and tattooed Serenity on my arm to always remind myself that I'm sober. I need to remain sober.
Yep,
I always look at it and think, I got this.
yep, we've got this. And I want to reach out to the alcoholic who still suffers, um, and the ones that are here that I know are on their journey as well. Um, if you're a newcomer, it is worth every single day. I can promise you that. You're going to feel crummy when you first start, but you'll get through it. You'll get through it. It is a lot of hard work, but you'll get through it. Um, it's just easy steps to do, a better way to cope with your days being sober. Um, because when you're drinking, you don't know who you've called. Maybe you do, but you don't remember what you said, and you probably hurt that person's feelings, and you don't realize it until they say something. And sometimes they may never say anything about it to you. They may just walk off and say goodbye and never talk to you again. And sometimes that is it has to happen that way. But when you make your amends to people wherever possible, um, you can make your amends in any way you'd like. Now, some people write them a letter, some people send them a card, some people say it face to face, some people text it, however you can, wherever it's possible, make your amends, because it is so much better for you to be able to go on and know that, hey, I did my part, I said my apologies, I made my amend, And if they accept it, that's great. If they don't, that's on them. Because, like I said, you can only control your actions and yourself. And I I tell people that are parents that are coming out of, becoming sober. I've told them, you can't take care of your child until you can take care of yourself. And that's the truth. Because if you're going to be drinking and stuff, I did that. My kids were teenagers, but I did it too. I drank when my kids were around and I couldn't take care of them. And I've made my amends to my kids for that.
Same.
And I wish I had never started drinking, but I did. And I admitted it. And I'm glad that I admitted it because I'm 8 years and almost 8 months sober. No, right?
Yeah. July will be 8 years, 8 months.
Yeah. So it's been worth it. It's hard to do. It's not an easy walk, but it's worth it. Every single day being sober, it's so worth it. No matter what happens in that day. And everybody's got a purpose. Everybody has friends that, may need the help of getting sober, may need the help with whatever, you
Also,
know?
too, AA does also help family members of alcoholics who are still drinking.
Yes.
Um, it
Yes.
it helps give them the tools to understand.
Yes.
It helps them to listen and at least try to refrain from judgment or you know anything like that because they may tell you things that you really don't want to hear, but it helps them to recover.
Yes. And uh also family and friends that listen or go to an AA meeting with a friend or whatever that is the alcoholic, that friend now has the knowledge to help that person stay sober. They are understanding, ways to help them redirect their thinking, which sometimes when you're first getting sober, you need that. And sometimes even when you have been sober for a long time, you need that. Now, when I first started AA, a friend asked me to go to a meeting. I did that. I knew nothing except for what I heard on that first day. And I can barely hear, so I didn't hear much. But when I came out of that meeting and I went home, I thought, I need to find out when the next meeting is. And so I called three numbers, I believe, on the list that I was given for the females in our meeting or in our group. And I called three, I believe, and the third one answered her phone, and she is still my sponsor. I don't talk to her very often, but she's still my sponsor. If I'm having trouble, I'll call her. I also have another sponsor, and she is one of my old coworkers when we did camp hosting. She's been sober for a very, very long time. And now this person can read my messages in a way without me even telling her that I'm having a bad day. And she will say, "What's wrong? What do you need help with today? Don't give in and always use your voice," is what she always says to me. Always use your voice. So, and that is part of why I've chosen to do this, is because I can use my voice and help reach people who need it that can't make it to a meeting for whatever reason. So that's just my goal here on my AA part of my channel. And I'm glad you're all here. Don't forget to hit the like button. If you want to come to any meetings, subscribe and click the bell. I do other videos and I do other live streams, but this is my main focus right here on Tuesdays and Saturdays. And then Wednesdays, I go live about my trips that we are planning. And I do upload adventure videos. So this is not the only part of my channel, but I do enjoy helping people this way. So, and with that, I think we're done for today. Okay. So I will we will say the Serenity Prayer. Oh yeah, I forgot about the book. Sorry. You guys can get your books and magazines. Just look up your local AA meetings. Usually they have books, and libraries usually have them.
Barnes and
Um,
Nobles.
Barnes and Noble, Amazon. I'm not sponsored or affiliated with either of those, but you can get your books. Um, thank you, Kenny.
And you can find a meeting anywhere.
Yep. So, anyways, and thank you for sharing, Kenny. I appreciate you.
I didn't
So,
get a chance to
oh,
this morning. I fell asleep.
hello, magnificent Darian. Thank you for coming to the AA meeting. I appreciate every single one of you guys. And we're going to close it out with Serenity Prayer. God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. Keep coming back. It
It
works
works if you work it.
if you work it.
Love you guys.
Love
Have
you
a good
guys.
one. Stay sober.
Stay sober.